We are told to fight aging. But what if the fight itself is the poison? What if the frantic search for decay is what makes us decay faster? True health is not found in the noise of a machine, but in the stillness of your own listening. Most people will ignore this truth, seeking a simple list of forbidden actions, a quick fix. They will miss the profound understanding of why we have become so afraid of our own bodies. The cost of skipping this is to remain a passenger in your own life, constantly reacting to fear, forever outsourcing your well-being. To reclaim your power, you must walk this entire path with me. Inner stillness. The world has become very loud, not just the sounds that enter our ears, the traffic, the notifications, the endless talk, but the noise inside the mind. A constant storm of information, of anxieties, of what-ifs, and in this great noise, we have forgotten how to listen. We have lost the connection to the most profound and truthful voice we will ever know, the voice of our own body, our own vessel. It speaks to us always, in the language of energy, of comfort, of discomfort, of vitality, of fatigue. It is a subtle language, a whisper, and whispers cannot be heard in a storm. So, what do? We seek louder voices. We turn to machines, to charts, to numbers on a screen. We ask an external authority, am I well? We wait for a loud alarm bell to tell us something is wrong, because we can no longer hear the gentle tap on the shoulder that came long before. This is the first and most fundamental challenge of our time, especially as we gather more years, as the vessel naturally changes its form and function. We have been taught to see the body as a machine, a collection of parts that are prone to breaking down. The heart is a pump, the lungs, our bellows, the brain is a computer. This mechanical view is useful in some ways, but it is also a great deception. A machine does not heal itself. A machine does not have wisdom. A machine has no consciousness. Your body is not a machine. It is a living, breathing, miraculously intelligent ecosystem. It is a garden, and a garden does not thrive by being constantly measured, poked, and analyzed. It thrives with the right conditions: good soil, clean water, gentle sunlight, and patient observation. It thrives when the gardener understands its nature and works with it, not against it. But we have become impatient gardeners, full of fear. We fear the natural cycles. We fear the falling of a leaf, the wilting of a flower, seeing it not as part of a process, but as a catastrophe. And so we overtreat, we over-intervene, we flood the garden with chemicals and harsh procedures, hoping to force it into a state of perpetual, unnatural summer. This journey we are on, this path of understanding, is not about rejecting the tools of the modern world. They have their place, their utility. It is about putting them in their rightful place. A tool should be in your hand, not in the driver's seat of your life. The ultimate authority on your well-being must be you. It must be the felt sense of your own inner state. This requires a skill, and like any skill, it must be cultivated. It is the skill of inner listening. It is the practice of creating moments of silence in your day, of closing your eyes and turning your attention inward. Not to search for problems, not to scan for threats, but simply to be present with the life that is flowing within you, to feel your breath, to feel the beat of your heart, to feel the subtle currents of energy in your hands and feet. This is the foundation. Without this, all the checkups in the world are just more noise, adding to the confusion, adding to the fear. They can tell you the pressure in the pipes, but they cannot tell you about the quality of the water flowing through them. That only you can know. The challenge as we age is that the body's language changes. The boundless energy of youth is replaced by a different kind of energy, perhaps a more steady, more enduring kind. Aches and pains may appear not as enemies to be vanquished, but as messengers. They may be asking for a change in movement, a change in diet, a release of some long-held tension. If we only see them as a sign of breakdown, our response is one of fear. We rush to silence the messenger, often without ever understanding the message. The true checkup, the one you must never avoid, is this daily, quiet check-in with the messenger. It is asking, with genuine curiosity, "What are you trying to tell me?" This is a conversation, and a conversation requires both speaking and listening. We spend all our time speaking to our bodies, demanding more from them, pushing them, criticizing them. We must learn to spend more time simply listening. This is where true power lies, not in the power to fight your body, but in the power to be in deep, harmonious relationship with it. It is the shift from seeing your body as a potential traitor to seeing it as your oldest and most faithful friend. Fearful searching. There is a checkup that is performed not in a clinic, but inside your own mind. It is the constant, anxious scanning for what might be wrong. This is the checkup of fear. It is born from a deep-seated terror of mortality and decay, and it is fueled by a culture that tells us aging is a disease to be battled. So we search. We worry about a mole, a twitch, a momentary pain. We fall down rabbit holes of information on the internet, convincing ourselves that a simple symptom is a sign of a terminal illness. This mental act of fearful searching is profoundly harmful. It is not a neutral act of observation. It is an act that floods the body with stress hormones. It places the nervous system in a perpetual state of fight or flight, and a body that is constantly in a state of high alert cannot rest, cannot repair, cannot heal. The search for illness becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The mind, in its power, can create the very conditions it fears. It is like a kingdom whose king is so afraid of betrayal that he sends his spies everywhere, creating an atmosphere of suspicion and distrust that eventually leads to a real rebellion. Think of it this way. Your body possesses an incredible intelligence, a self-regulating wisdom that has been refined over millions of years. This intelligence works best in an environment of trust and calm. When you are constantly overriding it with fear, you are disrupting its work. You are like a nervous passenger in a car, constantly grabbing the steering wheel from a skilled driver. The result is not a safer journey, but a more erratic and dangerous one. The driver, your body's innate wisdom, knows the road. It knows how to handle the small bumps and turns. But when you jerk the wheel in panic at every shadow, you risk sending the car into a ditch. The checkup of fear is this constant grabbing of the wheel. It is a statement of no confidence in your own life force. And this lack of faith is, in itself, a kind of sickness, a sickness of the spirit that will inevitably manifest in the body. The antidote is not more searching, not one more test to provide temporary reassurance. The antidote is the cultivation of trust. This trust is not a blind faith. It is not an ignorance of real symptoms. It is a deep, embodied trust that you will know when something is truly wrong. It is the trust that your body's signals will become clear and persistent if they need your attention. But to hear those clear signals, you must first quiet the noise of baseless anxiety. You must learn to differentiate between the whisper of intuition and the scream of fear. Fear is chaotic, frantic, and jumps from one worry to another. Intuition is calm, clear, and steady. It does not create panic, it invites wise action. Reaching the age of 70 and beyond is a great achievement. It means the vessel has navigated many decades. It has experience. It has wisdom stored in its very cells. To then begin treating it with this frantic, fearful distrust is a great dishonor to the journey it has taken. It is like finally reaching the rank of a master, only to be treated like an untrustworthy novice. So, the practice is to consciously withdraw your energy from this pattern of fearful searching. When the mind begins to scan for problems, gently redirect it. Redirect it to the sensation of your breath. Redirect it to a feeling of gratitude for the parts of you that feel well. Redirect it to the beauty of the world outside your window. This is not denial. This is a strategic reallocation of your most precious resource, your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. If you pour all of your attention into the fear of sickness, you are feeding the sickness. If you pour your attention into a state of calm, trust, and well-being, you are feeding health. This is the checkup you should avoid at all costs, the one where you appoint your fear as the chief physician. Instead, appoint your inner stillness, your cultivated calm. Let that be the foundational state from which you observe your own health. From that quiet place, you will know with a certainty that no machine can give you what is true and what requires your gentle, focused attention. Numeric prisons. We live in an age of data. We are obsessed with measuring, quantifying, and tracking everything. And this obsession has extended to our health. We seek not a feeling of well-being, but a specific number on a chart. We chase a target for our blood pressure, our cholesterol, our blood sugar, our weight. This is the checkup of numbers. And while these numbers can be useful pieces of information, they have become something else for many of us. They have become our jailers. We live in a state of anxiety, waiting for the next measurement, our mood and sense of self-worth rising and falling with a decimal point. A good number brings a fleeting sense of relief. A bad number brings a wave of fear, guilt, and self-recrimination. We have handed over our own felt experience of health to the cold, abstract authority of a digit. This is a profound mistake. It is the outsourcing of our inner knowing. The body is not a static entity. It is a dynamic, flowing system that is constantly adapting to its environment. Your blood pressure is not the same in the morning as it is in the evening. It is not the same when you are calm as when you are stressed. A single measurement in an artificial, often stressful clinical setting is a snapshot of a river. It tells you nothing about the river's source, its journey, or its destination. Yet, we take this single snapshot and treat it as the absolute truth. We then begin to make drastic decisions based on this limited, often misleading piece of data. We begin to take powerful medications, not because we feel unwell, but to fix the number. This can create a cascade of unintended consequences, side effects that are often worse than the condition the number was supposed to represent. We can become so focused on correcting the number that we lose touch with the actual state of our overall vitality. The real questions are, how do you feel? Do you have the energy to do the things you love? Does your body move with ease and grace? Is your mind clear? Is your sleep restful? These are the true indicators of health. A person can have perfect numbers on a chart and feel tired, depressed, and lifeless. Another person can have numbers that are outside the ideal range and feel vibrant, joyful, and full of energy. Who is healthier? Our obsession with numbers has blinded us to this simple truth. It is a form of reductionism. It takes the infinitely complex, holistic reality of a human being and reduces it to a few simple data points. It is convenient, it is measurable, but it is not the truth. It is a shadow on the cave wall. To spend your later years, a time that should be dedicated to wisdom and integration, chasing these shadows is a tragic waste of precious time and energy. The invitation here is to shift your focus. Use the numbers as what they are, small pieces of information in a much larger puzzle, but do not make them the centerpiece. The centerpiece is your own subjective, embodied experience. Cultivate the ability to feel your own vitality. This is your true north. If you feel strong and well, but a number is slightly off, the wise approach may not be to immediately declare war on the number. It may be to observe, to make gentle adjustments to your lifestyle, to see if your inner sense of well-being and the external number can come into a better alignment naturally. Sometimes, the body, in its wisdom, settles into a new equilibrium as it ages. The ranges considered normal are based on averages of large populations, often of younger people. They may not represent the optimal state for your unique vessel at this specific stage of its journey. Free yourself from the prison of numbers. Learn to trust the far more accurate and holistic data stream that is coming from your own senses, your own feelings, your own spirit. That is a checkup that builds wisdom, not anxiety. Aggressive force. In our modern mindset, there is a deep-seated belief that to solve a problem, we must apply force. We must intervene, attack, and conquer. This bias towards aggression is reflected in our approach to health, especially when we are confronted with the changes that come with age. We see a change in the body not as a natural process, but as an enemy invasion. The response then is to bring out the heavy artillery, the most aggressive surgery, the most powerful drug, the most invasive procedure. This is the checkup of aggressive intervention. It is the belief that a strong response is always the best response, but often, especially in a system as complex and delicate as a human body that has been functioning for over 70 years, this approach can cause far more harm than good. It can create collateral damage that is devastating to the person's overall quality of life. The treatment becomes a new and often worse disease. There is another way. It is the way of nature, the way of water. Water is soft, yielding. It does not attack the rock with a hammer. It flows around it, over it, patiently, persistently, and eventually it wears the rock away. This is the power of the gentle path. It is an approach that honors the body's own immense capacity for healing and self-regulation. It understands that sometimes the wisest action is inaction. The most powerful intervention is to create the conditions for the body to heal itself. This might mean profound rest. It might mean simplifying one's diet. It might mean gentle, mindful movement to improve circulation and energy flow. It might mean practices that calm the nervous system, like meditation or deep breathing. These are not passive approaches. They are deeply active, but their action is subtle, intelligent, and cooperative, not aggressive and confrontational. Consider a very old, venerable tree in a forest. It has stood for 100 years. It has weathered storms, droughts, and seasons of all kinds. Its bark is gnarled. Some of its branches are twisted. It is not a perfect, symmetrical sapling. It has character. It has wisdom. Now, imagine a forester comes along with the modern, aggressive mindset. He sees the gnarled bark and wants to sand it smooth. He sees a twisted branch and wants to amputate it. He sees a patch of moss and wants to scrub it off with harsh chemicals. In his attempt to fix the tree and make it conform to an idealized image, he would destroy its strength, its resilience, its very essence. He would harm the very thing he is trying to help. Our approach to the aging body is often like this. We fail to respect the wisdom and the accumulated strength of the vessel. We see only the imperfections, the deviations from the textbook ideal of youth, and we rush in with force. The truly advanced path, the path of mastery, is knowing when to use force and when to use gentleness. As we age, the balance should shift dramatically towards gentleness. The body has less reserve capacity to bounce back from the shock of an aggressive intervention. The potential for harm increases while the potential for benefit often decreases. Many procedures and treatments that are routinely recommended are based on studies done on younger, healthier populations. Their risk-to-benefit ratio can be completely different for a person in their 70s, 80s, or 90s. This is not about being fatalistic or giving up. It is about being supremely wise and strategic. It is about asking a different set of questions. Not just, can we do this procedure, but should we? What is the likely impact on this person's total well-being, on their joy, on their peace of mind? Sometimes managing a chronic condition gently, allowing a person to live a comfortable and peaceful life, is a far greater victory than a risky, aggressive attempt at a cure that shatters their remaining years. Avoiding the reflexive checkup that leads to aggressive force is a profound act of self-respect and wisdom. Fragmented self. The final checkup to avoid is perhaps the most pervasive and the most subtle. It is the checkup of the fragmented self. Our modern medical system is built on specialization. You have a doctor for your heart, a doctor for your lungs, a doctor for your skin, a doctor for your bones. Each expert looks at their one piece of the puzzle in great detail. But who is looking at the whole person? Who is connecting the dots? This fragmentation is a great danger. It leads us to see ourselves as a collection of separate, disconnected parts. We believe that a problem in the kidneys has nothing to do with the mind, that a problem in the skin has nothing to do with the gut, that a problem in the heart has nothing to do with a lifetime of held sadness. This is a profound illusion. The body is not a bag of organs. It is a single, unified, interconnected field of energy and information. Everything affects everything else. When you go for a checkup with this fragmented mindset, you receive fragmented advice. One specialist may prescribe a medication for your blood pressure. Another specialist, unaware of the first, may prescribe a different medication for your arthritis. The two drugs may have a negative interaction. A third expert might recommend a restrictive diet for your digestion that depletes a nutrient needed for your brain function. Each piece of advice may be logical within its own narrow frame, but when you put them all together, the result can be chaos. The body is thrown into confusion, trying to respond to a dozen different contradictory commands at once. This is why so many older people end up on a dizzying array of medications, suffering from a host of side effects that are then treated with even more medications. They are caught in a downward spiral created by a system that has lost sight of the whole. To reclaim your health and your power, you must resist this fragmentation. You must insist on seeing yourself and being seen as a whole being. Your thoughts, your emotions, your relationships, your diet, your movement, your sleep, your spiritual state. These are not separate from your physical health. They are the very fabric of your physical health. The ultimate checkup is the one you perform yourself every day. It is the checkup where you ask, how is the whole of me doing today? You don't just check your blood pressure, you check your emotional pressure. You don't just check your cholesterol, you check the quality of the joy flowing through your life. You don't just examine a skin lesion, you examine the sources of irritation in your environment and in your mind. This is the holistic view. It is the view of wisdom. This requires you to become the master conductor of your own orchestra. The specialist can be the first violin, the lead cellist. They can provide valuable information and skill, but you are the conductor. You are the only one who can hear the entire symphony. You are the one who decides how the different sections should play together to create a harmonious sound. This is a great responsibility, but it is also the source of ultimate freedom. It means you are no longer a passive recipient of fragmented care. You are the active central agent in your own well-being. As you age, this role becomes more and more critical. The body's systems become more delicately balanced. The potential for disharmony created by fragmented interventions becomes greater. Stepping into this role of the conductor, of the guardian of your own wholeness, is the most powerful health-promoting act you can ever take. It is the final and most important checkup to embrace, replacing the one that breaks you into 1,000 tiny, unworkable pieces. Finding peace. In the end, this journey is not about avoiding doctors or rejecting medicine. It is about changing the foundation from which we approach our own health and the process of aging. The foundation of fear, force, and fragmentation is a weak one. It leads to a life of anxiety and a state of constant battle with our own vessel. The foundation we seek to build is one of stillness, trust, and wholeness. From this foundation, we can use the tools of the modern world wisely as supplements to our own inner knowing, not as substitutes for it. We can engage with the health system not as a frightened child, but as a wise elder, a partner in the conversation about our own care. This is a profound shift in power. It is the reclaiming of sovereignty over your own body and your own life. The great anxiety of our time is the fear of death, the fear of cessation. We have become so attached to this one form, this one experience, that we see its natural, inevitable conclusion as a failure. This is the root of the frantic searching, the aggressive interventions, the obsession with numbers. We are trying to stop the river from reaching the ocean, but the river's purpose is to reach the ocean. The journey is the purpose. To live with wisdom, especially in our later years, is to make peace with this flow. It is to understand that the quality of the journey is more important than the exact moment of its end. To spend our final decades in a state of fear, fighting a war against nature, is to miss the opportunity for the greatest harvest of all, the harvest of peace, of wisdom, of a deep and abiding clarity. The final insight is this: true health is not the absence of symptoms. It is the presence of a deep connection to life. It is the ability to feel joy, to feel love, to be present with the beauty of a simple moment. It is the resilience to meet challenges with a calm mind and an open heart. This state of being is available to us at any age, in any physical condition. A person with a chronic illness can possess more of this true health than a young athlete who is filled with anxiety and self-criticism. The ultimate checkup, the only one that truly matters, is the check of your own spirit. Is it at peace? Is it nourished? Is it free? This is the work. And it is not work that can be done by any machine or any expert. It is your path and yours alone. To walk it is to find a power that does not diminish with age, but grows ever stronger, right until the very last breath. It is the power that comes from no longer fighting the current, but from learning to swim with grace in the river of life, all the way to the sea. At what age did you realize that health was more about your inner state than a number on a chart? Share your moment of clarity.